Hey guys, Cody here with Anarchy Outdoors. Today we want to kind of go over some more frequently asked questions that we get. This one's going to be regarding scope bases. We get all sorts of questions as far as why do we keep putting the bubble levels in the back of these scope bases, or what MOA should I choose, or does MOA affect overall height? And so I kind of want to touch on most of those today. Now, a lot of these, as far as how to choose MOA, are going to be very gun specific, very scope specific, very scope height specific. And so unfortunately I can't answer all of those in this video, but hopefully I'll give you kind of a general overview that'll get you a better understanding of these. So let's start out with the easiest one. So why do we put a bubble level in the back of here? You'll see all the time there's bubble levels on the tops of scopes, hanging off the side, on the rails, you name it, anywhere from $10 to $300 people are spending on these levels. So we've come up with the idea of why not throw it in the back of the scope base, right? Easy enough to bore a hole, make it in there, and then from when you're on the gun, you glance down off the scope and you can see if you're level. Now, why we do that is if I'm shooting this gun, and let's say I'm using my scope as holdover, and so maybe I have like a Christmas tree style reticle in there, and I shoot and I see that I am 2 lines down and 3 lines to the right. Now, okay, I put the next round in. Well, I'm going to count 2 down and 3 to the right. Now, if I do that and my gun's tipped sideways, now all of a sudden I'm up. I'm high from where I should be holding to hit that target. However, if I'm level, and if I can confirm I'm level, then if I count down 2 over 3, that should be right on the target. It also helps if you're using the scope to then adjust your turrets. If I'm holding my gun sideways and shoot and I say, okay, look, I'm off, down 2 over 3, whether it's mil or MOA, what type of scope you're using, now all of a sudden I'm adjusting wrong because my gun was not straight up and down. So keeping your gun level, especially with long range shooting, is so critical. So that's why we're putting them in as many as we can. It doesn't increase the cost by a whole lot, but it's a huge added value, and it's well worth the money on those. So now let's jump into the different MOAs, kind of why we have different MOAs, why are different MOAs offered, and what's the best for you. And this is all going to depend on what caliber you're shooting, how far you want to shoot, but the general terms is the more MOA you have, you're adding adjustment, or scratch that, you're not adding adjustment to your scope, but let's say I'm dialed as much as I can with my scope and I've ran out of elevation and I'm at 500 yards and I will need to go to 600-700 yards and I got a 0 MOA base on here. Okay, well, I need to add some minutes of angle to my scope then. So why don't I put on, let's say, 30 or 40 MOA scope base. Now I'm going to have that 30 or 40 more minutes of angle, so now I'm going to be able to shoot further. That's the general idea of the MOA in a scope base. With the MOAs, we often get asked the question, hey, what should I choose? I want to shoot this far. Now, it obviously depends on the height of the scope on the gun, what gun you're shooting, what 0 you want to have, how far you want to shoot. So I can't answer that specific question. However, in general, you're pretty safe with about a 20 MOA, 30 MOA scope base. If you want, with standard calibers, if you want 100 yard 0, you're still going to usually be able to do that. However, if you're wanting to go real far, and maybe you don't care if it's 100 yard 0 or 150 yard 0 or 200 yard 0, you don't care about that, but you want to be able to hit that 1,000 yard plate. Now, if you're like that, then great, you need a 40 MOA base because that's going to get you the most amount of elevation you can get out there. And for some of these really big calibers like 338 Lapua for the Ruger Precision Rifle, we've actually made a 60 MOA base for those of you that want to try to smack that mile plate. You'll be able to get out there with the 60 MOA with a pretty good scope. So hopefully that kind of explains as far as the MOAs are concerned. Another one we get is people like on a Ruger Precision Rifle scope base. They're saying, oh, hey, look, my scope is hitting and I don't want to replace my scope rings. So I'll just get I have a 20 on there now, so I'll get a 40 MOA and that'll raise it. It'll give me 40. It'll give me higher scope base overall, and that'll lift my scope up. Now that's false. How you figure out MOA in a scope base is you're going to take it from the dead center and you're going to take away 20 and add 20, and that's how you're going to get 40. And so it's actually going to drop the front very slightly and raise the back very slightly. so it's actually going to tip your scope down. And so as far as giving you more clearance, that's not going to help you. It's not going to be what you want to do. If you're that close, you're going to want to get different scope rings. People also ask me, well, how close is too close? And my general rule of thumb is if it's over 1/4 of an inch, you're okay. I wouldn't do more than a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, definitely pushing it. Between that 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch is my sweet spot. If you get it closer than 1/4 inch, you're flirting with death there a little bit, in my opinion. You don't want it that close. Your barrel's going to get hot. It's going to start messing with your scope, and there's really no reason to have that. It should be that 1/4 to 1/2 inch up, in my personal opinion and from my experience. Hopefully this video has helped you guys. That's kind of all I have for this Q&A session. Obviously it depends on your scope, how many mils your scope has, or MOAs your scope has of adjustment. But hopefully this has helped you. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask them.